Team Africa is set to play Team World on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern in the third NBA Africa game in Pretoria. The game is being played in support of the Nelson Mandela Foundation. So we went behind the scenes with some of the stars at a camp hosted by Basketball Without Borders. Check it out.
You guys are going to have the opportunity to learn from NBA players, WNBA players, NBA coaches. So when we sit in our team lines, you guys are listening and trying to be a sponge and absorb everything you can. 2, 3, Africa! Today we're getting everybody in the right mindset, and we're getting everybody measured, and we're doing our combine drills today. So testing our players' speed, their vertical leap, their agility, and giving them a chance to showcase what they can do athletically.
It's all about basketball, quite honestly, and more importantly, it's about development for the person, as far as being an intelligent individual, as far as giving them life skills, as far as them utilizing basketball to help move you forward in life.
It's been fun the last couple of days being here with the kids, getting a chance to talk to them, see their game, try to teach them a few things. So I've been excited. My first time being in Africa, first time doing Basketball Without Borders, to be here doing this.
When I was a kid, I wish I had those type of opportunities. It's great to first of all be able to compete, against the guys from different countries.
And I'm really excited because every year is getting better and better and better, and the NBA continue to invest into the youth, into Africa, and I'm really appreciative. So NBA, thank you.
Incredible. Sekou, you've covered basketball internationally more than a decade now, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what is it that impresses you the most now about the NBA's global reach?
Well, it's strange seeing just how committed the NBA's best players are. I was there when Jerry Colangelo and Mike Krzyzewski first came in and took over. To see it go from, that veteran crew that was there at first, and they went to Greece and got their noses busted. But LeBron and Carmelo and those young guys were in the pipeline. Dwayne Wade, Dwight Howard, all these guys who helped transform it over the years. Now you have that second generation, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Steph Curry, all these different guys who are a part of the program, and the reach around the world is unbelievable because these guys all bring their fans to this Big Ten. I mean, it's unbelievable just how far it reaches. You go to the other side of the world, and you see these jerseys on the fans, and you see these little kids. You see people's faces light up, and you understand just how big a deal it is to them.
Well, always on brand, Joel Embiid of Team Africa had this to say of the Sixers offseason. When my season ended, there was a lot of talk about adding guys. I literally did not really care because I want to get better. I want to be better than those guys if I'm not already better than them. The Sixers, though, Sekou, were mentioned as contenders in the LeBron sweepstakes. They were in talks with the Spurs to trade for Kawhi Leonard. With Joel still at the helm, how good can this team be?
Well, look, they're going to be good no matter what they added in the summer or if they added anything in the summer because I think Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are such, unbelievable talents. We forget about Markelle Fultz and the work he's done to get himself prepared to play in what I think is really – this is his full-blown rookie season coming up, if he's healthy and able to play from the very start. There isn't another big man on any team that's a contender that's as good as Joel Embiid. So that's what they have right off the bat in Philly that nobody else has. And a 7-foot monster who can dominate the game at times when he's healthy and when he's engaged. And that's what they're going to have to lean on this year as opposed to some influx of talent or veteran stars that they brought in free agency. They have their homegrown process that he loves to talk about. Well, it's on him. It's on his shoulders.
So with LeBron ultimately signing West, who can contend in the East?
I think it's wide open. I think Boston, Toronto, Philly, Indiana, you got a host of teams. Washington, I'm sure, those guys believe they're going to be a part of that mix as well. But it's really wide open. I think Boston goes in as the kind of prohibitive favorite if we're looking at rosters right now and who's going to be healthy, who's coming back. But after that, it's anybody's show. And I think Kawhi Leonard going to Toronto keeps them in that elite mix. But certainly the Sixers and the Pacers are two other teams that are going to be right there.
Well, speaking of Jason Tatum, after the break, if you're a kid looking to have your basketball hopes and dreams just dashed, go to summer camp with literally anybody in the NBA. We'll have guys who can't seem to tone down that competitive spirit. Next. On Wednesday, ESPN reported Indiana Pacers head coach Nate McMillan, who would have entered the final season of his original 3-year deal, agreed to return to the team on a contract extension that'll take him through the 2020-21 season. He's 90-72 in the last 2 seasons with the Pacers, including 48 wins last season. At the buzzer, it's the time of year for NBA players to coach kids at their camps. And by coach, I mean embarrass them in front of their peers.
Or get embarrassed.
Well, yeah, apart from Ennis Cantor, he actually lost to a kid in knockout. You see, you can't have cameras rolling. That's the problem. That's mistake number 1.
He's used to taking L's, unfortunately.
Look at Trae Young. First of all, that kid, that camper, is the same size as he is. Second of all, you got to go and one mixtape style on this kid.
He had a rough summer. He had to do something to make up for it.
Jason Tatum, though, dropping a kid on a crossover, and look how excited all the campers get.
Well, they know it's going viral. These kids know better than
right, and they know they run into the camera like it's time.
This
is my moment. No embarrassing kind of moment for you like that.
When I was going to camps, there were no cell phones, so I'm good.
That's fair.
Anything that happens is a rumor. It's only a rumor.
I like that. We're all out of time. Unfortunately, it's been a pleasure hanging with you guys. I'm Kristen Ledlow. He's Sekou Smith. We'll see you next time, whenever next time may be. Hey, everybody. Welcome into our NBA TV studios. It's game time with Kristen Ledlow alongside our Sekou Smith. Is there ever actually an NBA offseason? Because it feels like no.
No, there's no offseason.
That smile says, why am I here? Well, this is why, okay? On Wednesday, ESPN reported that as of 5 o'clock, Carmelo Anthony officially became a free agent after clearing waivers following a buyout with the Atlanta Hawks. Anthony is expected to sign a 1-year deal with the Houston Rockets, worth a veteran's minimum $2.4 million. So for more on the Houston Rockets this offseason, we welcome in Craig Ackerman, the team's TV and radio play-by-play broadcaster. Craig, the writing has been on the wall for weeks. What is it that Carmelo is going to bring to this team?
Well, you know, he's obviously someone the Rockets have chased several times over the last handful of years. When he was initially a free agent with New York, he came to Houston for a visit. Obviously, he ended up signing with the Knicks. All the stories last summer about the Rockets trying to acquire him again from the Knicks before he was ultimately sent to Oklahoma City. So Daryl Morey is, you know, there's obviously something that he has seen in Carmelo Anthony that he thinks will fit with the Rockets and their style of play. And if he ultimately does sign with the Rockets here fairly soon, we'll ultimately get to see if this is something that can work out for this team this season, a team that was so close to toppling the Warriors a year ago.
Greg, so many people talk about the Rockets' defense last year, but if you look at Game 7, that Western Conference Final, they couldn't make it. Trevor Ariza especially couldn't make a shot when you needed one. How much of Carmelo's fit with the Rockets is about the fact that he's going to be a guy who can knock down shots, give him another offensive option to go with James Harden and Chris Paul?
You know, I certainly think that is part of it. I mean, Carmelo, you know, I don't think anybody is mistaking the point that he did not have a very good year last year, and the fit with the Thunder was not necessarily a good one for him or the team. But, you know, he's still pretty good in the catch-and-shoot scenarios as a three-point shooter, and obviously the Rockets shoot more threes than any team in NBA history. He's still very effective as a pick-and-roll ball handler. A season ago, the Rockets turned what has historically been a very inefficient, ISO-heavy offense into the single most efficient offense, ISO-wise, in the history of the sport with James Harden and Chris Paul running it. In fact, the Rockets had the best offensive rating in the league. I certainly think offense is part of that. Everybody keeps talking about Olympic Melo, his ability to catch and shoot, spread the floor, knock down threes, and he's a guy who can play in isolation. And I think that the key for him with this team and working with the coaching staff is, can they and he make sure that he's in the most efficient spots on the floor to help himself and the team? And again, only time will tell if that will ultimately work out this season.
And you said it, Craig. Last season, the team was recognized as the team probably closest to dethroning the Warriors. Are they closer or further away after this offseason?
You know, as far as I'm concerned, it still is Golden State and everybody else. I mean, look, they were up 3-2 when Chris Paul went down with a hamstring injury, and everybody around here feels pretty strongly about the fact that if Chris did not get hurt, the Rockets, at minimum, are in the NBA Finals against the Cavaliers. But, look, he got hurt. It happened. They ended up, they were unable to hold on to a pair of double-digit leads in Game 6 and Game 7. Golden State went on to win the series. They went on to win another championship, and now they've added DeMarcus Cousins. And so I think everybody with the Rockets certainly respects the historic level of talent that Golden State has. But they're an organization that hasn't shied away from their obsession, if you will. Daryl Morey mentioned prior to the start of last season their obsession with chasing down Golden State. Again, they were very close. This is an organization that's willing to take a ton of risks. Does Carmelo fit with this team, fit that profile of taking a risk? I think so, but they're going to get him at the veterans minimum. And again, we'll just kind of have to wait and see how this thing plays out. I think the James Ennis signing will certainly help with this team in terms of their defensive identity. I think that's where most of the question marks will ultimately be with Carmelo and the Rockets. How does he fit in with the team's defensive identity, which I think in large part helped them compete with Golden State a year ago because they had the personnel to switch everything. And will Carmelo be able to slide into that system and be effective in it? And again, I don't know, but again, he is a player the Rockets have wanted several times in the past handful of years. So there's something they see in him that they think will fit here. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it'll work out for the best.
Craig, with so much talk about the fit for Carmelo, do you think it was a risk at all given Chris Paul the kind of contract they gave him, knowing his injury history, certainly last season and before with the Los Angeles Clippers? That seems like a long term to give a guy who you're not sure is going to be healthy season after season.
There's question marks with his health. Again, it's his hamstring, unfortunately, did not allow him to finish off that series last year, and it's been a problem for him in recent seasons. But I think part of the acquisition of Chris a year ago from the Clippers was that him opting into his deal, the Rockets could make him whole with another contract. There's always a risk with a huge contract like that with all players, especially older players like Chris. But he was terrific last year with this team. They feel like he has a ton of gas left in the tank. James Harden is smack dab in the middle of his prime, and so the Rockets are going to try to chase after this thing as long as James is in his prime. And if that means paying Chris Paul perhaps a little more money than that's palatable in the latter years of this contract, so be it. But they're going to continue to roll the dice and try to track down Golden State and win a title.
You guys can follow Craig's coverage of the Houston Rockets at CA_Rockets on Twitter, as well as back in the booth next season. Thanks, Craig.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
We shall. But first, Carmelo. In Houston, how's he fit?
I think it's a great fit. I think the one thing the Rockets were missing was some real size in their scoring punch. James Harden, 6'5", Chris Paul, 6'1", Eric Gordon, who's their third option, is 6'3". Carmelo gives them a bigger guy that you can throw the ball to and get buckets. And if Carmelo wants to go down and play on the box, that's when he becomes really dangerous. The Olympic Melo Craig was talking about, that's really unguardable in this league because smaller guys can't handle him, and bigger guys, he can fake and go around you or pop and shoot from outside. He's going to be a nightmare for a lot of people.
He will.
Yeah, it's just, and I think it's really about Carmelo's attitude. Like, does he come in with the right frame of mind, right attitude to fit into that group? He makes them really dangerous.
Well, the Warriors have solidified their status as a dynasty, but others in the Western Conference are making moves to dethrone what seems to be an unbeatable team. But I want to know who stands out to you this offseason thus far. Let's start out with LeBron and the Lakers.
Yeah, look, the Lakers are working with a group of talent, young guys, and then this weird mix of veterans. Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, which is just, you cannot look at this group of guys and think it's going to be anything but, highlights and headlines every day. LeBron, of course, brings that level of championship caliber attitude that they have not had. And I think he's going to be infectious for the young guys. The one thing you're curious about is, do these, minutes battles between Rondo and Lonzo Ball, is that something that works in the favor of the Lakers or something that causes friction? So a lot of it's going to lean on LeBron's leadership and whether or not he can manage that locker room the way he's managed so many locker rooms before.
How about a championship caliber franchise like the San Antonio Spurs? We've watched them every single year be playoff contenders, even when we thought they perhaps would not be. They've made a lot of change this offseason. No more Kawhi Leonard. Now DeMar DeRozan is running that offense.
Well, and I think the absence of Tony Parker may be even more glaring than the absence of Kawhi, only because they've long had these links to their dynastic past, whether it's Manu coming off the bench and Tony Parker adjusting to different roles. Now that's gone even. They don't even have that link to what they've done before. So is this going to be a situation where DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge, these guys forge a new identity? Is there a new group of, a core group in San Antonio that's going to carry that torch, or does it have to be rebuilt? And that's what, Pop's the best in the business. We're going to find out really just how good he is this year.
And there's no more OK3, unless perhaps you count Dennis Schroeder. You might. I don't know. But they did re-sign Paul George, which a lot of people expected not to happen, especially to such a lengthy extension. Do you think that they could be a dark horse in the Western Conference?
Yeah, and I don't know that they're even a dark horse. I mean, I think they're right in the mix of those other teams behind Golden State and probably Houston in terms of pecking order. I got a chance to talk to Paul George at USAB minicamp in Las Vegas last week. You talk about a guy who really feels good about his decision and is, all in for Oklahoma City. But the real entertaining part of the Thunder season has got to be training camp with Russ going at Dennis Schroeder every day in practice. Somebody better have a camera on that. Because
entertaining.
I can imagine that is going to be feisty.
That's one word to put it. Feisty is another way to put it. Well, when we come back, we'll have highlights in the WNBA on a 3-game Friday night. Don't go away.